Hi everyone, and welcome to Mac tutorial number 3, Basic Finder Commands. You'll find at the beginning of this recording that, unfortunately, QuickTime Player started a bit later than what I thought it would. So you'll find that in the middle, at the at the beginning of this recording, the way that it was acting was a bit strange because due to the fact that it started a bit late. But other than that, the whole recording's there. I recorded this with my mixer, like every other tutorial that I did. And I recorded this with a piece of software called Loopback, and it seemed to go very well. So hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. I would like to thank Gabriel for joining me on this tutorial. And that will pretty much wrap up this part that I'm editing in, and that'll be about it. So thank you for listening.
Head felt like it was gonna frickin' explode, so I couldn't really. I didn't want to, be having a headache during the recording, so I had to take it easy that day. So why not? Let's get started. Let me route my voiceover through. I already have voiceover utility open, so you guys don't have to wait. You should be able to hear. Oh crap! I already had my speech routed, didn't I? All right.
That's all right.
Well, just making sure. All right.
So
as you can probably hear my speech.
Um,
So we're gonna today, and Creighton's gonna explain to that.
Yes.
Explain that to you guys.
So in part 1, which is the part that I did, we talked about the VoiceOver Quick Start, and I demoed that, which was about 40 minutes, and uploaded it. In part 2, Gabriel went over some basic commands, but in this one, we're going to talk about some Finder commands that you will use in the Finder.
Oh,
What would you like to do? Button. Finder. Press
Before we go on, you guys, I'm quickly going to.
I'm going to do the same thing if I can find it.
Toolbar.
I'm just gonna put our Skype in Do Not Disturb here, so we don't get any notifications or anything like that that'll bother us during the recording. Yeah. So,
We're gonna
part 1 and 2 were just basic stuff. Now we're gonna get to the real important stuff that you need to know, such as the Finder commands.
yeah, and then
David.
and sometime when in part 4 comes around, I'm gonna show you some preferences to change for your Mac. And I'll go through some of them in part 4,
Yep.
but that's a different time.
Mm-hmm. And
So-
can you those after the recording, because I want to get it set up so I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Also, yeah, just so I know what we're changing. All right, so let's get started here. Creighton, what's the first?
All right.
thing?
So
No.
I believe Gabriel went over this in part 2, if I remember listening to it right. Going to your desktop is very easy. Control-Option-Shift-D.
It's good to do a repeat just as a refresher.
Yeah, and
There's a huge gap, because what we did is there's a huge gap between part 1 and 2, and then there's a tiny little gap between part 2 and 3. So it's good to have a refresher because we're having some days, maybe 1 or 2 days of a gap.
yeah. So, if you remember in part 2, Gabriel mentioned that to get to your desktop, it is Control-Option-Shift-D.
Yes.
And I'm going to show you a couple commands to get to some basic folders and how to delete files and create folders. And in another part, when we get into moving files around, we'll kind of get into that. But I'm going to show you how to get to some certain folders. So, for an example, if you want to get to your in Linux and Mac OS, what they call your home directory, that's an easy way. There's an easy way to get to it. If you hit Command-Shift-H.
So I'll do that now.
Home. Game Gloria. Window. List view. Table.
So it'll say home, whatever your username is, and then it'll put you whatever you have set up. For example, mine's in list view, I think. Mine is in.
As list check.
Yeah,
Yep.
as a list. it'll say home folder or home window, Gabriel Oria. I'll do it
Close
again
window,
just
desktop.
to see what it says.
Home. Gabriel Oria window. List view.
Yep,
So it
Gabriel
says
Oria.
home, Gabriel Oria window, and then list view table.
And we'll get into customizing, your different Finder views in another podcast. But right now, we're just going to go over some commands.
Yes.
So, what about if you wanted to...
Oh, we forgot something quick. Just a little refresher. Finder, if you can't really hit Command Q to close it, you'll get
No.
that. So what you'll want to do is hit Command... Geez, I was about to say Control. Command W to close the window.
Close window. Desktop. David and me folder.
So if you're in an application such as VoiceOver Utility, Command Q will quit the application,
Yep.
and Command W will close the window. Like in Safari, it'll close the tab.
Yes.
Kind of like Control W on Windows if you're in somewhere that you can close other windows and stuff.
So, what about if you wanted to get quickly to your Documents folder?
Yes, and yeah, because let's say you want to get to your Documents folder, you don't want to be doing
New Finder
this.
link. Sign up. All my files. Sidebar. Interact. iCloud Drive. Application.
You know?
Desktop. Close window.
So
Desktop.
we're going to show you this simple way. To do that, it is Command Shift O.
Documents. Documents. Window. List view table.
Very easy.
That gets to Documents.
Now, I'm going to go over another command, and it's, it seems kind of weird having this on Mac because it's been on Windows for years. What if you don't want your disk drives, and we're going to talk about this when we get into preferences. What if you don't want your disk drives to show up on your desktop? Well, there's an easy way to get to your disk drives, and that is going to your computer. To go to that, it's Command-Shift-C.
Computer. Gabriel's MacBook Air window. List view table.
As you can tell,
So this time, say computer, so-and-so's whatever. For example, Creighton's MacBook Air, Gabriel's MacBook Air. So that'll bring it up.
Close window. Desktop. Computer. Gabriel's MacBook Air window. List view table.
Same thing, list view table, because that's how I like my thing set up now.
and like I said earlier, we'll get into list views and all that, all of the different Finder views that you can navigate files and
Yes.
folders. What about if you wanted to get to your desktop folder to paste a file on your desktop? Because if you just go to your desktop by default, you cannot paste a file. So you have to get to your desktop folder. There's an easy way to do
So
that. Let's hit Command
Yeah.
Shift D.
Desktop. List view table.
There we go.
And then that's where you can paste stuff in there. And also, like, let's say, you wanted to put a shortcut on your desktop from a web page, for example, like I did.
Free intros.web internet location.
That free intros. And I want to mention, we will put an intro in this videos. And
Yes, I will
So
put
we
one
will
in
put
here.
intros. Yes, either me or Creighton.
One of
Preferably
us will.
Creighton, because the internet's way better. Anyway, so you can do that, and that's where you'd have to go into the desktop folder to make that shortcut. Or you have to put it into a shortcuts folder first, don't we? Though. don't know.
If you drag it, if you want a shortcut just on your desktop, you would go to your desktop folder. You cannot just drag it to
Yeah.
the desktop. You
And
would
you
have to go to your
go-
desktop folder. Yes.
We will go into this in further on videos.
Now, what if you want to type in the name of a folder
Close.
in your Finder and you just don't want to navigate to it? Well, that's kind of easy because there's a go to folder command. It will go to command in your Finder. You can hit Command Shift G,
Go to folder. Go to folder window. Go to the folder. Edit text.
and as you can
So
tell,
let's try- So I can type like the path of a folder. For example,
Slash. S.
can I just
Slash.
okay, so let's demonstrate how to get to a folder here. How would I do this?
so what you would do is, let's say you just want to go to your slash applications directory. So you would type in slash and applications, APPLICATIONS.
Let's hit
Applications
enter.
window. List view table.
And we're in
List
our
view table.
applications
PSV format.
folder.
Close window. Desktop. David and me.
And as you can tell, it took him immediately to the applications folder. Now,
Yes.
we'll go over a couple others. Let's say you want to get to your network quickly, because if you do file sharing like I do, you want a quick way to get to your network. Command-Shift-K is an easy way.
Net. List view table.
And
And obviously, my folder is empty.
right, because nothing is sharing on your network at this point. But if I were to do it,
Yep.
I would see multiple computers. I have another desktop that is running across the room. That's my bedside machine. And then my grandmother has a machine for her business downstairs that's running. Let's see. We're not going to get into moving items to the trash quite yet. I mean, I know these are basic Finder commands, but we'll get into moving to the trash when we get into copying files and folders and managing all that. We'll get into moving items to the trash. And we'll mention it here and we'll mention it in that podcast. The trash, if you're a Windows user, think of the trash as the recycle bin.
Recycle bin.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. Think of it as the recycle bin. Okay? We'll go over a couple more. Let's say you want to connect to an FTP server or a server on your if you have your Mac,
Do an FTP.
yeah, an FTP server, or if you have another Mac set up as a server, you can. So if you just hit Command K,
Connect to server. Connect to server. Add favorite server address. Edit text.
okay,
Here
now-
I would type, obviously, ftp.whatever.com.
yes, this is where you would connect the servers. Now, obviously, if you were connecting to an FTP, I would recommend a client such as,
Yeah.
Speech muted.
I'll try it out, you guys. So, just to show you, I'm going to mute my speech so I don't,
Speech unmuted. Add favorite server. Recent servers. Menu button. Favorite servers. Favorite server. Help button. Remove. Browse button. Connect. Default. Connect. Default button.
And would I just hit connect?
yes,
Press connect. Default button. Stop progress button. Busy. Progressing. Stop progress.
So we're just going to see if it's going to connect here, and then we'll just move on.
Busy. Progressing. Connecting to //ft. Busy. Stop progress button. Stop progress button.
And that's going to take forever.
Folder.
All right.
yeah, so we're
Next
just going to
one.
exit that. A good FTP client that I would recommend that you get is called Transmit. It's a very accessible FTP, and I've used it
Yeah,
several
can you show-
times. I don't have it
Maybe.
installed, but I can see if I can find it.
Okay.
Considering the fact that I don't do FTP anymore, that's why I got rid of it, and,
I kind of too, because...
yeah.
I'm not gonna
So...
explain here.
What if you wanted to go to your downloads folder? Well, there's an easy way to do that. If you just hit Command-Option-L.
And it didn't speak, so let's... Whoa. I lost voiceover, you guys.
Well,
Sorry, guys. I'm having a little bit of...
just to show you,
kidding me.
since his voiceover's acting up, I'm on my Mac Mini at this point, so if I wanted to go to my downloads folder,
Desktop. Macintosh HD.
I'll
Volume.
just go to the desktop, like Gabriel mentioned, Part 2, Control-Option-Shift-D or VO-Shift-D, and I'll hit Command-Option-L.
Downloads. Downloads. Window. List view table.
Okay, and it took me automatically to my downloads folder. I'll just close out this
Close
window.
Desktop. Finder.
I'm trying to think what else.
Yeah,
Okay.
my voiceover's still up.
Okay, well, I can finish up because I think there's only one more that I want to go over. Let's say you want to go to your iCloud Drive. Instead of going to your sidebar, which you can hide, I believe, from within the Finder, and we'll talk about that when we get into Finder preferences. So, excuse the iPad. Let's hit Command-Shift-I.
iCloud Drive. iCloud Drive. Window. List view table.
And as you can tell, it automatically took me to my iCloud Drive folder. Okay, so I'm just going to unroute everything. And I'm going to get back into my recording software, which is QuickTime at this point. Alright, so those are just a couple basic Finder commands of getting to files and getting to folders and getting to different parts of the Finder. Now, we'll get into more in depth, and these will become useful when we get into moving files and folders around in your Finder and the Finder podcast when we get into using the Finder. And the Finder, for those of you who are Windows users or you're coming from Windows, think of it as Windows Explorer. Windows Explorer is where you can browse your C drive or whatever drive you want. That's basically what the Finder does in this case. So, anyway, I believe that concludes part 3, and this one will be called Basic Finder Commands. And in part 4, I'm going to do that one, and I'm going to go over setting up different preferences. I don't know when it's going to get out. I'm hoping maybe sometime tonight. I don't know. So tonight being
going. So
let's see.
Today
being July the 8th. I don't know when it's going to be out. It might be out tonight. Don't know. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this recording, and I will go ahead and stop and edit the intro in, and that will be about it. So thank you so much for listening, guys. Keep on liking and subscribing on this YouTube channel, and hopefully
remember to give us video requests.
Yes, absolutely. We can see your comments, and that will be pretty much it for this demonstration, so thank you for listening.